Hello, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful Cinemateq live stream where we're going to be talking about movie stuff. What movie stuff? I don't know. I have been kind of in a rush all day today. I was just spent like over an hour on Nerdy Film Girl's YouTube channel just talking about the award season and stuff like that. And so I guess I could talk a little bit about award season as well now, but I'm a little out of sorts, and I also have a big cat. So what we're gonna do with this live stream right off the bat is just praise the one and only God, Rocco. Everyone bow down to Rocco, and while you're thinking about how cute and cuddly he is, you are going to ignore the fact that I am woefully unprepared. But I've never let being unprepared stop me before. I'm sure that some of my best live streams have been pulled entirely out of my butt. So we're just gonna run with it. We're just gonna do the best we can. We're gonna accidentally hit the microphone because Rocco is definitely needing these like chin scratches. These chin scratches, he needs them a lot. Can you guys hear him purring? He's actually kind of close to the microphone. Hold on, I'll shut up for a second. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? New poster in the back. No? What? That's been there since Halloween, literally. Oh, it's a subtle purr? Nice, nice. So I guess I will actually start off with the way that I always do by saying hello to people in chat. Easy for me 20. Good to have you here. Tyrannicide, great name. Carrier has arrived. Hey, that's a StarCraft reference. I get that. Yo, what's up, JP Contrary? Not much. Good to be here. What's up, everyone? Says Ella. Hello. Shin Queen is here as well. What's up? Wave emoji. Look at that. I'm an emoji now. I'm in the emoji movie. Uh, Hello, everybody, says Fan Murata. Nice hat. Oh, thank you. I was wearing it earlier and then I didn't take it off. Fashion icon, as you can tell. Everyone's super happy that Rocco's here, aren't we? Yes. Look at this little guy with his little head. How are you today, good sir? Rocco's fine. Rocco's fine. I'm good too. I had to walk home in the rain, and then I ate really quickly, and then I, as quickly as I possibly could, researched the winners of the Independent Spirit Awards and the SAG Awards, and then talked with confidence about them on Nerdy Film Girl's YouTube channel. I think I did well. You guys go check that out and watch it again, and let me know if I projected confidence well. Rocco's God, long live Rocco. That's right. See that, Rocco? You're not allowed to die anymore. Nope. It better not ever happen. I'll be sad, and you're not allowed to make me sad. No, you're not, because you're a kitty. Did I just now notice that it isn't 2001: A Space Odyssey anymore? Like, straight up. I put Halloween up there in October of 2023. It's been that for like 5 months. 5 months straight. But that's okay. That's okay. There's no judgments here. Obviously, your attention is right here on this majestic face that is now before you. I understand. I sometimes lose time while looking in the mirror. I will look into the mirror and I will see this face, this somewhat poorly shaven face with really unevenly trimmed beard hairs, and just stare. Just stare. And then I look down at my I look down at my watch. I don't wear a watch. I look down at my cell phone and I realize that 4 days have passed and I'm very dehydrated. This happens to me all the time. It's true. You did amazing. You did awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, I only caught the tail end of it, but you seem pretty confident. Oh, good. 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 I tricked you all sufficiently. All right. Well, why don't we continue then to speak with confidence about something that I just talked about, like not that long ago. But we'll try to do it in a slightly different way. Let's talk a little bit about the Independent Spirit Awards, because there are some interesting threads here that I just want to point out. First of all, Best Lead Performance and Best Supporting Performance. When did they go to non-gendered performance things? When are they as cool as the Cinemateq Film Awards? Link in the description box below. It's not the description box, you know what I mean. When did they become so cool? Or as cool as the Cinemateq Film Awards? I don't know how long ago they did that, but it's cool to see it. It's cool to see it. Also, love to see Past Lives getting Best Feature and Best Director. Although with the way that the Independent Spirit Awards are set up, like, it doesn't look like it won anything else. So it's one of those weird things where I guess if you're just watching the Independent Spirit Awards, you see all of these other films winning, like American Fiction and The Holdovers, and you're like, well, obviously one of those films is going to win. And then Past Lives just kind of walks up and says, nope, my Independent Spirit Award. You can't have it anymore. This belongs to me now. I didn't watch the awards live, though. It would have been interesting to see that happen in real time. But also, one of the things that I pointed out on Nerdy Film Girls on her stream was that it seems like the Independent Spirit Awards are kind of losing their reason for existing, because it just, they're just giving the awards to the films that are nominated for Oscars anyways. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of additional thought. And of course, I can't speak for voters. I can't speak for the Independent Spirit voters as an entire voting block, but just based on the results, it seems like there's not much thought being put into these votes, other than like, oh, it got nominated for an Oscar, therefore I'm going to vote for it. You know, I especially see that with American Fiction, a film that, as you all know, by this point in time, I'm not a big fan of. It won both Best Lead Performance and Best Screenplay, and perhaps something else. Nope, that was it. But then to continue on this thread of like the Oscar films winning everything, Holdovers did really well. Divine Joy Randolph winning Best Supporting Performance. Dominic Sessa winning Best Breakthrough Performance, which I think is somewhat deserved. I think he did really well. Also, the fact that Marshawn Lynch was nominated for Bottoms. I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing, Independent Spirit Awards, but this kind of shit right here will turn you into the Golden Globes faster than you can say, oh my God, it's Gerard Carmichael, run. But still, like, a pretty good category anyways. And then also, you know, like May, December, it's a Netflix movie. How independent is that? Hard to say. Best First Feature going to 1001. Haven't seen it, but love that. Love that this is a category, a Cinemateq Film Award category as well, if you didn't know. And then documentary feature, I was really happy to see this. Four Daughters winning. Four Daughters to me is like one of the best two documentaries of the year, the other one being The Mother of All Lies. So to see them going toe to toe made me happy. I kind of wish The Mother of All Lies had won, but I think with Four Daughters as an Oscar nominated film, it was always going to be the favorite in that regard. But then once again, when you look at Best International Film, is It's Anatomy of a Fall, and Zone of Interest is here as well. Like, what fun, interesting things are we finding out from the Independent Spirit Awards? Like, not many. And I think the one that I will say that is just makes me smile on the inside is How to Blow Up a Pipeline winning Best Editing. My goodness gracious. If you guys haven't seen this film, do it. What are you waiting for? Get it done. It's a Steven Soderbergh film about eco-terrorism. It's fucking dope. And it's not even a Steven Soderbergh film. It just looks like one. It's great. It's so good. Please watch it. If there's one film I can recommend to you on this whole Wikipedia page, it's that one. Bottoms is fun as well. But still. How to Blow Up a Pipeline. How many of you in chat have seen How to Blow Up a Pipeline? Let me know. Let me know what's going on there. And then I guess we also had the SAG Awards. And this is something else that I talked about briefly on Nerdy Film Girls channel. The fact that, like, the SAG Awards essentially cemented a number of categories for us. And I guess the only ones that we know for sure are going to be the 4 different performance categories. Also, if you'll just give me a moment here to rant about something for a quick second. You probably can't hear it on the microphone right now, but someone's car horn is going off in the background. Their car alarm, that is the horn thing, it's going off. I don't know if the same car is doing this all the time, or if multiple cars are being broken into at various times of the day. But I swear to you, I've been hearing these alarms going off like 6 times a day, and that has been true for the last like week to 2 weeks. This was not a problem before, it's a problem now. What is going on? Are people just forgetting how to use the fobs on their little key thing that opens their cars? And then why does it go on for so long? Usually when I accidentally set that off, when I did have a car, I would be able to turn it off to disarm it in 3 seconds, 4 at the most. And yet already, this thing has been going on for as long as I started ranting about it. What is going on, Toronto? What is going on right now? Anyways, end of rant. SAG Awards really solidified some things in the Oscars, but did give us a curveball, and I'm so happy about that curveball. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role, Cillian Murphy. He's going to win the Oscar. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a supporting role, Robert Downey Jr. He's going to win the Oscar. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a supporting role, Divine Joy Randolph. She's going to win the Oscar. But what's this? Outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role, Lily Gladstone and not Emma Stone. Oh my God, it's a curveball. Goodness gracious. I was so worried, like from an entertainment standpoint, that this was going to be just bad. This was just going to be so like obvious and straightforward. I was so worried that Emma Stone was just going to win this and she was going to walk away with it. And that would mean that like the top 6 awards at the entire Oscars, debatably, those are the ones that I think everyone considers to be like the big ones. Those 6 would have been completely locked in for Oscar night. Now it's only 5 of the 6, which is still bad. It's still a bad number. That percentage is too goddamn high. I think if you want to have a good Oscars, like at least 3 of them need to be toss-ups. But now it's just 1. And it's outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role. So thank you so much, SAG-AFTRA, for giving us something to look forward to. Because otherwise, it's going to be Oppenheimer, it's going to be Christopher Nolan, it's going to be Cillian Murphy, it's going to be Robert Downey Jr., it's going to be Divine Joy Randolph, and it was going to be Emma Stone. But now we don't know. So that's good. Also, for those of you looking for a car horn update, it turned off, and then it started again. What's going on, Toronto? Also, and this is one that I wanted to check out because, as you know, in the Cinemateq Film Awards, we have a Best Stunt Performance category. And it appears as though the SAG Awards gave it to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I think that's great. I think that's a good pick. I don't think I would have given it. I think there are a few films here that you could argue could win, but I think that when you compare them one-on-one to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, I think that Dead Reckoning is the winner in every head-to-head case. The one that you could perhaps have the more close argument about would be John Wick Chapter 4, but every time I think about John Wick Chapter 4, I just think about people hiding behind their jackets and not people like driving cool cars and doing kung fu and stuff. So yeah, I think Tom Cruise jumping off of like a cliff with using a motorcycle with a parachute on, I think that's a little bit more impressive still than, the whole and running away from guns. I think it's a bit more impressive than that. But tell me, chat, what do you think about all of this going on? And for those of you who actually watched the SAG Awards, because I didn't, I was out watching a movie with a friend, and that was a lot of fun. But for those of you who actually watched the SAG Awards, did you enjoy the presentation of the Netflix presentation? They had no commercials. Presumably they had to do things in order to fill time. I'm surprised just looking at this. It went on for 3 hours, even though they only have to present 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 awards, 16 with the Barbra Streisand achievement. That's like 7 less than the Oscars, and they kind of just went as long as the Oscars sometimes go. I guess they're really trying to pad it out. Maybe they had like a minimum amount of time that they had to be on there as part of their Netflix contract. And I will also ask you guys, because I did bring this up a bit earlier as well in the in my previous chat with Tracy. I'm just gonna call her Tracy from now on instead of her channel name. I'm pretty sure that Netflix or someone, it doesn't necessarily have to be Netflix, but I'm pretty sure that Netflix or another streaming service is looking at the Oscars and thinking to themselves, all right, what's the number? What's the amount of money that we pay to just get that and have it be everywhere? And I think Netflix probably makes the most sense in that regard because it's one of the only streaming services that's all over the world. Even for things like, HBO Max or whatever the hell it's called now. Is it just called Max? I don't even know. Like, that's basically just in America and in maybe a couple of other countries. Like, we don't have Max in Canada. But we do have, like, Paramount Plus. Is Paramount Plus maybe looking at that? Who of the streamers would you want to buy the Oscars? And how do you think that show would be different? I am intrigued by the idea of a completely live stream show with no commercials. And I would love it even more if they introduced streamer friendly initiatives, like actually letting people, like imagine if Amazon Prime came up and were like, yo, Oscars, here's $100 million. Like, let us, like, you are now part of us. And I think for that amount of money, or however much money they would spend, they wouldn't just do like one award show per year. There would also be like a lot of spin-off content from that. There would have to be like reality shows and shit just so they could get their money's worth. But imagine if Amazon did that and then they allow people like me on Twitch to rebroadcast it and just react to it properly. Like, imagine having that little screen there with me like leaning in being like, who's gonna win, and then I can just actually show you guys what it is and we can listen to the acceptance speeches and stuff like that. Like, that would be incredible. I would love to be able to do that. So in that case, yeah, I'm about it. I'm all for it. Prime would be interesting. I agree. I have an app to help me keep track of my predictions, and now Gladstone has pulled ahead of Stone. Interesting. Which I don't understand because Stone has won more awards. Yeah, I think one of the ways that we should perhaps be thinking about Stone v. Gladstone is timing. And I'm going to show you what I mean in just a second as I clear off stuff that is gross and on my keyboard. So if we look at the awards season schedule, and I should have done this earlier so I could actually like know what I'm about to say, but instead I'm going to do my best impersonation of ChatGPT and kind of just put words together all in a row. Wait, what the hell? Oh, this is not showing me the ones that... God damn it, Deadline. Boo. Boo, Deadline. Everyone boo Deadline in the chat. Boo. Oh, man, these guys are doing... Okay, past ones. All right. So here we go. Entertainment Weekly coming through. So here's the schedule, right? And they should here have a list of when voting opens. So we learned about the Oscar nominations on January 23rd. And then final Oscar voting. So presumably that means that Oscar voting ended today, right? You were not allowed to vote for the Oscars past today. That's what this says to me. Now, what's interesting about that is that think about what happened before, right? Think about the sequence of events that happened before. You had Emma Stone winning the Critics' Choice Award. You had both Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone winning at the Golden Globes. But then I think most significantly, you had Lily Gladstone not being nominated by the BAFTAs. And I think that is huge. And like, take a look at this. You have a full month of Lily Gladstone not being nominated for a BAFTA leading up to the BAFTA awards ceremony. So there's your 1 month. And then the final Oscar voting happens like the week after that, essentially. So now Lily Gladstone is just kind of out of people's minds, except for when she was nominated for the Oscars on the 23rd. For this kind of period in here, after this Oscar nomination, we really can't talk about Lily Gladstone that much because the BAFTAs have snubbed her. And so she's just not there. She's not present. And from, I think, the point the Oscar nominations are released, you can vote on the Oscars. So that says to me that for people who are voting early and who don't know about her SAG win because they can't predict the future, they may be less inclined. They may be less inclined to actually vote for her because of that BAFTA snub, if they're paying attention to award season like we pay attention to award season. So I think that is something that could really affect her. And the fact that she won the SAG award right here on the 24th and Oscar voting closes today, 3 days later, that could really hurt her. Now, I don't know Oscar voters and their proclivities when it comes to do they vote early or do they vote late. Maybe they all vote late and this doesn't matter at all and everything I've just said is not true. But I think it's interesting to think about how Lily Gladstone being snubbed by the BAFTAs could have been the thing that just completely undid her, which then at the very least, made it a mountain that she had to climb in order to get the Oscar. Stranger things have happened, but I still think that Emma Stone is the leader for the actual Oscar, especially because she won the BAFTA. Especially because that pretty much tells you, to some degree, how the British members of the Academy are feeling. The American members might be more split. We don't know how close that SAG award race was. And then it could just come down to, well, who do the international Academy members go for if we're going to start breaking things down by like nationality and things like this. And I imagine, once again, I don't like thinking about Oscar voting blocks in this way as being kind of uniform, as being all voting with the same voice, because they definitely don't. But if I were European, and I have European ancestry, so maybe I'm not too far off here, I imagine that you look at a film like Poor Things versus Killers of the Flower Moon, I just have a feeling that they're going to go for Poor Things over Killers of the Flower Moon, just in general. And I think that probably comes down to the acting categories as well. So I still think Emma Stone wins. And that's why. Also, I just finished my pineapple fizzy drink, and I feel great about that. Moving on to the tequila jar. I would also love a live stream show or something like YouTube or Prime Video. Yeah, just something that gets it everywhere. But like the price would need to be pretty substantial. It would need to be pretty substantial for that to happen. I don't know how much. I don't have any insight into stuff like that, but got to imagine it would be a lot. Actually, do we know how much Netflix paid for the SAG Awards? Netflix SAG Awards price. This is gonna give me the price of this stuff. The price of like a Netflix subscription, isn't it? God damn it. All right, let's try just an actual question. How much did Netflix pay for the SAG Awards? Under the multi-year pact with Netflix, which the LA Times reports was worth just $7 million. That's nothing. Dude, what? And it's a multi-year deal? I'm stunned by that number, actually. That's nuts. That can't... Really? 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 7 million for the SAG Awards? Wasn't that shit broadcast on like ABC usually in the States? That's a main network show. I guess maybe the SAG Awards weren't being broadcast worldwide, so they didn't have the numbers for worldwide revenue. Still, that seems like a steal to me. That truly does. Huh. All right. I think John Wick is going to win Best Stunt at the Roccos because it got into Best Picture. We'll see. We'll see. I know who I'm going to be voting for. And I think maybe this is something I should do tonight, right? I should probably do my Cinemateq Film Award voting, right? I should probably do that. I should probably maybe do that. Although I could leave it till next Tuesday. That gives me time, right? Voting closes on the 5th. The next Tuesday is the 5th. So, yeah, maybe I'll do it today or next week. Maybe I'll do it today with the option to change my votes because I still haven't seen enough of the documentaries yet. So, maybe we'll do that. But let's keep looking at chat, seeing what's going on here. Gladstone will win an Oscar. They want to award Native American for the first time in history. This is one of the reasons why I don't like thinking about Academy voting in terms of like political messages and things that they like want to do, because I just don't think that's how it works. There may be individual voters who are saying to themselves, hey, I would like to see a Native American performer win, and that's the criteria that they use when they cast their vote. But I think it's disingenuous to say that like all Academy voters are worried about that, you know? Like would a European Academy voter give a shit? Would a South American Academy voter give a shit? Would a Japanese Academy member give a shit about that? I don't know. It seems strange to me that like that would be would even a British Academy member like give a shit about that? I don't know. But certainly to say that like the entire Academy gives a shit about it, I think that that is debatable and probably not true. I think I would also love a live stream show. Prime would be interesting. Yeah, I think it would be interesting too, especially if they gave it exclusively to me and no one else as the only film streamer on Twitch. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to start saying that. And if I keep saying it, it'll be true. Remember to keep the narrative mindset with your predictions too. I think that's what the deal breaker between Gladstone and Stone will be. The narrative mindset. Oh, like, well, I mean, we just kind of talked about that. I know that you can use things like that as like part of your campaign as an example. But to the extent that those narratives actually affect voters, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's as clear cut as some people think that it is. Today was the last day for voting. What was the last day for? Oh, for the Oscars. Yeah. Imagine if a bunch of Twitch streamers hosted the Oscars. Yo, I'd do that. I'd be terrible at it, but if they're gonna pay me to host the Oscars, yeah, they're gonna throw like $50K right in my face or $100K. You know what, Academy? I'm not negotiating with you right now. Come at me with a good deal, and I will host your dumb little award ceremony with the Film Drunk and Nerdy Film Girl and a bunch of other ones. Karsten can be there too. Stuckman can be there. TJ would be there just to meet Dakota Johnson. Yo, if they don't put me on the red carpet to do my best impersonation of like red carpet live, talking about like just the most random shit and being like, so who are you wearing and what do you think about sloths? You know, wouldn't you love to see that kind of red carpet coverage? And I could be dressed up like a garbage person. That would be fun too. Maybe I just... Yeah, I think that would be fun. I wish there were award clips because of Glenn Howerton's line, I'm from Waterloo where the vampires hang out. Award clips. Oh, right. They do that a bit at the Oscars, right? They usually, for the people who are nominated for best performance, they usually show like a clip of them acting. I'm not doing that for the Roccos. Like, I don't have that much time on my hands. I'm putting a little bit of effort, so this is like a good looking award ceremony. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna be wearing a suit ish, an approximation of a suit, kind of like what I did last year. In fact, it might be the exact same thing. I have not been buying fine clothing at any great rate this past year, but yeah, it's still going to look just as good as last year, with maybe a surprise here or there. Who knows? But it is true. I would. What? No. I was about to say I would take like meeting Dakota Johnson as payment for hosting the Oscars, but no, that's stupid. There's so much work that goes into hosting an award show like that, and I don't work for free, baby. So, Academy, you know what you need to do. You know that no one could host the Academy Awards better than the Cinephile Supreme. I'll take the reins, I'll right the ship, and you will have on your hands a great award show. The ratings will be terrible. No one is going to tune in to see me, although I don't know how many people are tuning into the Oscars to only see Jimmy Kimmel, so I don't know if that matters. But, you let me host the Oscars, I'll bring the class back. Oh, that's right. It will be dour. It will be serious. There will be no fun. There will be no clapping allowed. Everyone will slowly and solemnly walk up, get their award, explain how they think that them winning makes them someone worthy of being remembered by the entirety of film history, and then they are going to quickly exit. And that is going to be the whole night. The Oscars will be done in 1 hour. And it's going to be great. Great show. So, yes. Why don't I do that? Why don't I get... Hold on. Let me just go to my email, which I'm not going to show you. Why don't we do some Cinemateq Film Award voting? Why don't we just do that? Why don't we have a little bit... Oh, wait. Oh, I should be able to change it. I'm now doing everything inside of Firefox, so I've had to like rearrange my brain as to how these things work, because it was always so like easy and segmented with Chrome, because I just had like different profiles for different emails, but now everything has been collapsed into one profile. So I just got to remember stuff. And remember stuff like what were the best films of 2023, because here we go. Let's cast this ballot. Let's see what's up. For those of you who have not filled out your ballot yet, you can do so by clicking on the link down below the video. And I think that's about all I need to say about that. I was going to say vote early and vote often, but neither of those things are true or things that you can do, so don't even bother. So let's talk about this. Best score. Best score of the year, which to me often is which score can I remember? So many scores at films these days are, in my mind, completely unremarkable. And they immediately fade from memory as soon as I walk out of the theater. I cannot even think. If I can think about them at all, it's, was it an orchestra or did they do something a little bit different? And usually I end up going for the film that is a little bit different. Now, all of these films, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Boy and the Heron, mostly good. I will admit, I do not remember the score for Oppenheimer. I do not remember the score for Poor Things. And I don't really remember the score for The Boy and the Heron. So automatically, those three are eliminated for me. Which leaves us with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, Killers of the Flower Moon was scored by Robbie Robertson of The Band, which means he's Canadian, which means I'm going to vote for Killers of the Flower Moon. Also, it is the score that I remember the most, and I just really like a solo guitar type score. I really like how the score for this film, it just stood out as being different, and it really tied everything together. It gave it a kind of temporal anchor, which is something that I think a lot of filmmakers don't bother with when it comes to period pieces, especially because, like, whether a film takes place in the 1600s or the 1800s or the 1900s or the early 20th century, it's all orchestras. You can just do orchestras for everything. But having that kind of almost edgy acoustic guitar type sound in Killers of the Flower Moon just worked for me. It worked for me real good. So I'm going to vote for that. Best hair and makeup. I think there's some interesting choices here. Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Maestro, Poor Things, Priscilla. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm throwing Maestro out into the garbage. The only thing I really liked about that movie was the cinematography and like maybe Carey Mulligan's performance, maybe. But then we've got Poor Things, which you just have to go look at Willem Dafoe in that movie and say to yourself, yeah, they definitely used both hair and makeup in that process, and they did a good job. Priscilla, another one that makes a lot of sense. When you go and watch that film, all of the a lot of the way that both Priscilla and Elvis are shown to you, it's through layers of makeup, right? Like the artifice of their relationship to a certain degree is accentuated by how artificial they're always made up to be and look like. So that makes a lot of sense for one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has like more prosthetics than any film ever or something like that. It's wild. And then Barbie also just has a lot of, and the hair and makeup of the different Barbies like helps represent personality and things like this. The differences between Barbie Land and normal human real world time, that difference is somewhat accentuated by the hair and makeup. So, it makes sense for all of them. We're all functionally using the hair and makeup as part of their storytelling, which is great. I'm going to vote for Poor Things because Willem Dafoe looked absolutely disgusting. And I love that for him. And also, I'm just not going to give a vote to a Marvel movie. Yes, the hair and makeup of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is good, but Poor Things is Poor Things with Willem Dafoe looking gross. And, of course, a lot of other hair and makeup. For a lot of the other characters, also look great. Now we got Best Costumes. Asteroid City, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Interesting. I think Asteroid City is an interesting one for this, as is Barbie. When it comes to period pieces, I really don't want to give period pieces Best Costumes. So Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, don't want to do that. Poor Things is like an exaggerated period piece, so I might give it a pass here. But I think it actually does come down to Barbie and Asteroid City. And, I just see it there. I think I'm going to go with Barbie. Yeah, lots of different looks for all the different Barbies. The way that the Kens were all set up. The I Am Knuff shirt. Like, a lot of important work happened during that film in the costume. So I'm going to go with Barbie on that. Yeah, I feel good. Now for Best Production Design. Hold on, let me blow this up a little bit for you guys. Yeah, now we're live streaming. Best Production Design. Asteroid City, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Literally the exact same nominees as costumes. Good job, everybody. For production design, we're really talking about like set design, set construction, color palette, like all of the different aspects of the visual image combined together to form a cohesive world. And so for me, that's got to be Asteroid City, Barbie, or Poor Things. Once again, Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer, I don't like giving this to period pieces. So then it comes down to which film's production design best told the story of what was going on. And I get it. To me, it's like it's Barbie or it's Poor Things, and I'm not sure how to differentiate between the two in this way. I think I'm going to give it to Poor Things for this. That's tough though, because putting together Barbie World is no small feat. I feel bad about this one. This one's tough. What did you guys put for this? Who amongst you have voted? And what did you put for production design? Please tell me. I need guidance. Someone cast guidance for me. Is that a Magic the Gathering joke? It might be. Barbie or Poor Things. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to think about it a little bit more. For editing, we've got John Wick Chapter 4, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think this is kind of a toss-up between Across the Spider-Verse and Oppenheimer. I'm going to put Oppenheimer because I think that one of the main reasons that, aside from the way that the film was written, I think one of the main reasons that Oppenheimer was able to maintain so much momentum and so much interest throughout a film that was really just 3 hours of people talking about building a thing and then talking about the repercussions of having built a thing. The fact that you can make that interesting and compelling for a 3-hour runtime, that's a lot of good editing work. The true could probably also be said about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but that is just a more interesting story, like, on its own, and the editing doesn't need to do as much work. I'm also just unsure of how editing in Across the Spider-Verse or in an animated film works, right? Because all of that stuff is storyboarded out. So I don't know what the actual work is that an editor does. And that's always been a hang up for me. What an editor does in an animated film. That's always been a hang up for me. Whereas, in Oppenheimer, like, I know that they're just, they're scanning all the footage. They're putting it into something like DaVinci Resolve, and then they're cutting it all together. And that's that. Whereas in Across the Spider-Verse and with any animated film, everything is storyboarded. You never want to animate things that you don't need because that's just a waste of money. So you try to have things tightly storyboarded. You're only making the elements that you're going to need. And in that case, like, don't you already know how things are going to be cut together? And does that change your perception of what should actually win? I don't know. But I'm going to vote for Oppenheimer here still. Best sound, we have Godzilla -1, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, The Killer, and Zone of Interest. I can't tell you how much I want to yawn right now. And I did, so I'm living my best life. I want to put this on Godzilla -1. But in my heart of hearts, I know that best sound is The Zone of Interest. I know that. That entire film is a masterclass in soundscape production. And the way that soundscape is used to tell the story in league with the visual image is stunning. I still think it's a bit of a one-note movie, and that it very easily could have been like 20 minutes long, a 20-minute short, and you would have gotten it. But I can't deny the fact that the sound in Zone of Interest is phenomenally well done. And that's it. That's an easy one. Best screenplay. We've got another yawn coming in. Oh, the adrenaline's leaving my body. We've got Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, and The Holdovers. So for this, it's got to be Past Lives, right? That whole, like, all of those sections where you just have these two people having the most heartfelt and devastating but also strangely uplifting conversations. Like, it's just so good. The Holdovers, also well written. Like, all of these films are well written, and I can actually see Anatomy of a Fall getting a lot of love in this category. But I'm going to vote for Past Lives. But this is a tough category. I'm actually curious to see who wins. I'm curious to see who wins all of them, but for some of them, I kind of have a good idea, and not because I'm peeking at the results, but I kind of have a good idea of who I think is going to win. It's not necessarily who I'm voting for, but I think I have a good idea who's going to win. Best cinematography now. We've got John Wick Chapter 4, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Saltburn. And as much as you guys know that I love watching Barry Keoghan just fuck some sand in Saltburn, I think that best cinematography for me is also going to have to go to Oppenheimer. But does it though? I think it's the most technically proficient of all of these films in terms of cinematography. But how much does the cinematography, the way that people are framed, the camera angles used, the the camera placement, the figure placement in relationship to that. How much of Oppenheimer's story is told with the camera versus Poor Things? Gesundheit. I think it still goes to Oppenheimer. I still think it's Oppenheimer. I'm thinking now about the scene where he gives the speech in the gymnasium, and it's like, yeah, that's a very visual sequence. The explosion, a lot of those effects were done in camera. Yeah. Also, please, in chat, let me know what you think about these. In fact, I'm going to take a quick break here and go back to chat and see what you guys are saying. Right now, Gladstone has a 52% chance of winning, and Stone is at 45% chance of winning on my app. This is an app that you've created, or it's an app that you're using? Also, that percentage being that close, to me, that's a toss-up. It also kind of sounds like they're ignoring every other person who's nominated. I said Barbie for production and costume. All right, fair enough. I'm putting Asteroid City. Okay. I'm seeing Zone of Interest this weekend. Nice. I would say have fun, but you're not gonna. It is a really good movie, though. You're so real for picking past lives for screenplay. I'm real all the time, baby. No simulations here. I know what scene got John Wick 4 in the cinematography category. Probably. I would hope that it's some of the early stuff at the Osaka hotel, because that actually did look real cool. Mostly in terms of like the lighting and all of the neon stuff. Very, very chill wave, very synthwave vibes, which I enjoyed. But I mean, I'd be interested to know what you thought the scene that it got nominated for. So let's go to Best Restoration now. After Hours, Fargo, Police Story 3, Super Cop, Royal Warriors, Stop Making Sense, The Color Purple, and Thelma and Louise. Yes. The first one, I think, to have more than 5, is it? I think. Yeah, because we had, I think, a 3-way tie for 5th place. So, naturally, sorry for all the scrolling, naturally, we need to have all these represented. And I think all of you know what I'm voting for, right? I think you all know. Chat, tell me what I'm voting for. Let me know that you've really been paying attention these last few months. Let me know that you have been absorbing the things that I have been saying and that you're retaining them. What am I voting for Best Restoration? Out of After Hours? I don't know why my voice just cracked. After Hours, the Martin Scorsese film that got released on Criterion. Fargo, the Coen brothers film that did not get released on Criterion, just got a 4K release. Police Story 3, Super Cop, which got a couple of different releases by different people. Royal Warriors, which was 88. Was it 88 films? Can't remember. Stop Making Sense, which is A24. The Color Purple, which is Warner Brothers. And Thelma and Louise, which is a Criterion release as well. Super Cop, because why not? It pains me that people haven't been listening. That people haven't been paying attention. I'm going to go cry now. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I might have a borderline allergy to my cat. This is something that I feel like I have to... This is something that I have to like come to terms with. I think I'm like borderline allergic to my cat. But maybe not. Did you guys hear something? You trying to freak me out? You trying to freak me out, man? You're going to try to paranormal activity me on my own stream? That's not cool. I know you're going with Thelma and Louise. Now, there we go. There we go with someone who listens. Yeah, it's Thelma and Louise. I fucking love this movie. When I got my 4K Blu-ray player, this was the first movie that I watched. It's incredible. Incredible. So let's move on now to Best Fantasy Film. Barbie, Beau's Afraid, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Poor Things, and The Boy and the Heron. Now, I think the best film out of these 5 is probably Poor Things or Barbie. But that doesn't mean I think it's the best fantasy film. For pure fantasy, it's Dungeons and Dragons or The Boy and the Heron, although Dungeons and Dragons is more classical fantasy. Also, Beau's Afraid is one of those as well. Is this the best film that is fantasy or the best fantasy film? You know? The best film that is fantasy, or the best film that is like more fantasy than the others. I don't know the best way to describe this dichotomy I'm thinking of, but you guys know. You guys know what I'm talking about. I really want to do it. I really want to do it. But I don't think it's a better film than Beau's Afraid. And I don't think it's a better film than Poor Things. But it's also like the fantasy movie of the year. Maybe I'll come back to this one later and select something different. But I'm not going to come back to it at all. Dungeons & Dragons Forever! Best science fiction film. Now, this is another interesting one. We've got Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Poor Things, Across the Spider-Verse, and The Creator. And, I mean, we can just put The Creator aside. It has some good stuff going on for it, but overall, I do not think it's that good of a movie. Pretty much the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a Marvel film. I'm not going to vote for it. I mean, Across the Spider-Verse is Marvel, though, and I could still vote for that. Which then leaves us with Godzilla -1, Poor Things, and Across the Spider-Verse. And so which one of these is, first of all, more classically science fiction? I think that comes down to Godzilla -1 being a big old monster movie where they try to use science to kill Godzilla. And also Across the Spider-Verse, because we're doing like a lot of science fiction-y type things, multidimensional things. And it's like real bright and wild and crazy. Poor Things is really here because it's basically an adaptation of Frankenstein, and Frankenstein is a science fiction novel, so I think that's fine for that to be here, but I don't think I'm going to vote for it for this. I know that Across the Spider-Verse is better than Godzilla -1. But I think Godzilla -1 is a better science fiction film. At least in the way that I kind of love science fiction. In that campy kind of way. In that 1950s kind of way. In that original Godzilla kind of way. In like when I think of Star Trek The Next Generation, and which of these two films is most like Star Trek The Next Generation, it's Godzilla -1. So I think I'm going to pick Godzilla -1. And I even know that I have this film rated lower than Across the Spider-Verse. But I still think it's a better science fiction film. Good night. I'm going to bed. Have yourselves a good sleep, and hopefully a cat doesn't wake you up at 6 in the morning for no reason. For no reason at all. I don't know what I was just talking about. You guys try to figure it out. Best horror movie. Godzilla -1, Infinity Pool, Saw X, Scream 6, or Talk to Me. And this one's really easy. It's Talk to Me. Scream 6 has some really good scenes in it, but overall, I don't think it's as good as Talk to Me. I haven't seen Saw X. Infinity Pool also has some really good moments in it. Mia Goth is blood-curdling in some incredible ways, as she usually is. And it does some really interesting stuff. You know, kind of breaks your brain, kind of bends your brain a little bit with its concept, which is cool. But it's just Talk to Me. I had so much fun with Talk to Me. That film really has just like one scene where I'm kind of like, nah, they could have done this better. The rest of it is just real good. And it's also a movie about like grief and letting go and forgiveness and blah, blah, blah. And also there's some really good fucking gore in it. Really, really precise use of gore, which I always enjoy. And it actually is scary. Like, once again, I can't forget the fact that this is best horror film, right? Talk to Me freaked me out a little bit. I was giggling in fear while I was watching it. Infinity Pool didn't scare me, and neither did Godzilla -1. So, Talk to Me, best horror film, that makes sense. No One Will Save You got snubbed. Well, you have to take that up with all the people in the chat. And other people who voted. For pure horror, I'm going with Talk to Me, but in terms of pure strange filmmaking and acting, I want to pick Infinity Pool. I actually think Infinity Pool would have fit better in the sci-fi category. You know, you're probably right. But once again, this is all fan voted. So this is all community driven. So just blame everyone who's here. Best comic book film. And you know what? I'm kind of leaning towards getting rid of this category for next year. I don't think we need this because, like, okay, I will say, in previous years, best comic book film and best sci-fi film have been kind of similar. Um, I don't know. I just don't know if we need this. I don't like thinking of these. I'm like, okay, these are underrepresented genres, right? Horror, sci-fi, fantasy. Like they often don't get nominated for awards, and obviously, comic book films don't get nominated for many awards either. But they also make a lot of money usually, so I don't know if that kind of extra recognition is necessary. But you guys let me know. You guys let me know if we should keep this or not. But yeah, our nominees are Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Nimona, Across the Spider-Verse, Mutant Mayhem, and The Killer. And this, for me, is an easy one. I think Across the Spider-Verse is easily the best comic book film of the year. It clears all of these films like very, very easily. Although I will say I haven't seen Nimona yet. But of the 4 of these 5 films that I've seen, Across the Spider-Verse, easy clear. Easy clear. I think it should become best action thriller movie. I mean, best action movie kind of makes sense to me. I do think it's a little bit nebulous, perhaps. Like fantasy and science fiction and horror, like those are all clearly defined genres. But action, I've always found to be like a little bit more of a nebulous term, you know? Like, okay, Mission Impossible. Yeah, it's an action film for sure. Is Godzilla Minus One an action film? Because there's really just like 2 to 3 set pieces in the whole thing, but then there's no real action otherwise. So, I don't know. And obviously, it would be up to people to vote for best action film and like figure out for themselves what the best action film is. I'm just worried that it's not as defined in terms of its genre conventions. A worst film category says easy for me 20. That's never going to be a category. And the reason for that is simple. I want these awards to lift up films. I want people to feel good about this. I don't want to devolve into the Razzies where we're making fun of stuff. So, yeah, that's never going to be a category. Best documentary. 20 Days of Mariupol, American Symphony, Beyond Utopia, Pamela Love Story, and still a Michael J. Fox movie. And I hate this because I have only seen American Symphony and I desperately do not want to vote for it. So I think in the next week I'm really going to have to try to watch 20 Days of Mariupol and Beyond Utopia. I don't think I'm going to go with these because I usually don't like biodocs in this way. Like this just seems like it almost seems like it's promotion for something, Like the documentary comes out and then they release a memoir. These always feel like synergy to me. They always feel like corporate synergy to me. Whereas these actually feel like proper documentaries. And no, I haven't seen Beyond Utopia yet. I know I'm a dummy. I could have seen it at TIFF. It then played at the TIFF Bell Lightbox, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And 20 Days of Mariupol is like on Netflix. I could watch that very easily. But I haven't yet. But for right now, because American Symphony is the only doc I've seen, I gotta vote for that. But I'm gonna come back. We're gonna have a little bit of an update next week. Best First Feature. This is gonna be pretty easy. American Fiction, Past Lives, Rye Lane, Talk to Me, or Theater Camp. Actually, you know what? Both Talk to Me and Past Lives are excellent debuts, and Theater Camp is like right up there. I'm not a big fan of American Fiction, as you guys know. And Rye Lane, I haven't seen, so I have no idea. I can't vote for it. I don't know what it's all about. But this has to go to Past Lives. As I said, Talk to Me, pretty phenomenal film from front to back. Does have a scene that I don't like, but it doesn't really come anywhere close to hitting those emotional depths that Past Lives does. It's kind of stunning, honestly, that someone with their first feature was able to put that much heart and emotion into characters and then get those right actors to come in and be able to deliver on that emotion. It's wild to see that. It's one of the things that I find most discouraging, almost, because like I know that if I were to ever direct a film, it wouldn't be anywhere close to Past Lives, and that kind of just makes me want to like not try, you know? I hate that. Don't let yourself defeat yourself, kids. It's bad. Hey, let's do Best Animated Feature. Nimona, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Suzumi, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and The Boy and the Heron. And out of these, I think it's going to have to be Across the Spider-Verse. I have not seen Nimona and Suzumi. Mutant Mayhem is good. It's not great. And The Boy and the Heron is really good. But I simply do not think that it's a better film than Across the Spider-Verse. I appreciate how The Boy and the Heron is kind of like a meta commentary on Miyazaki's creative process. It looks really good. It didn't hit me in the emotional feels in the way that Across the Spider-Verse did. And I think that just the animation style of Across the Spider-Verse as something that needs to be kind of accomplished, you know, as an accomplishment, the degree of difficulty, I mean, I think it was much higher. I'm saying that as someone who doesn't know anything about animation, aside from the fact that you like draw things a bunch of times and make them a little bit different, and then it turns into motion. I don't know much about animated films beyond that, but I think that Across the Spider-Verse was definitely like the most animated film, and I think it just wins. I think it's the winner. This is one where I'm very confident that my pick and everyone else's pick are gonna overlap. Best non-English language film. We've got Anatomy of a Fall, Godzilla -1, Past Lives, Society of the Snow, and Boy and the Heron. So I haven't seen Society of the Snow yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it. I've been slacking off super hard on my film watching duties. But that's just because there's been other stuff that I've been wanting to do. So, yeah. This is what happens when I treat Cinemateq like a hobby instead of a full-time job. I just do other things as well. And so it leaves me with a couple of blind spots. So here, best non-English language film. I mean, I think it's Godzilla -1. If I'm just thinking about which of these films I enjoyed the most. Oh shit, no, wait, Past Lives. All right, I'm going to do it like this. Out of all of these films that I've seen, the one that I'm going to go back and watch again is Godzilla -1. Beyond that, I think this film does some really interesting stuff with the Godzilla origin story. I think that the narrative that you get, the character development that you get, the character focus in this film is actually pretty remarkable. And they used the music from the original Godzilla film from 1954. So how could it not be the best non-English language film? If Past Lives had been able to fit in the Godzilla theme somewhere, maybe it would be winning this for me. But I think this is Godzilla -1. Yeah. I feel kind of weird about that, but I also feel kind of good. Best stunt performance. We got Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Napoleon for some reason, Polite Society, and The Killer. And yes, this is a sixer. It's a six-pack, as Black Flag would say. So, yeah, it's Mission Impossible. I appreciate that they did a lot of practical things in Dungeons and Dragons. John Wick Chapter 4, as I've mentioned, is basically just people lifting their coat up and kicking and shooting, which I know I need to put more respect on that film in terms of its stunt performance. It's basically a stunt performance film. Napoleon, I think there are a bunch of stunts in Napoleon that are just CGI. I really do think a lot of that stuff is just visual effects. Polite Society I haven't seen, and The Killer does have some good fight sequences in it that obviously needed to be well choreographed. So, yeah, I can see why people would want to go for that. But when it comes to Mission Impossible, I just am stuck with the image of Tom Cruise getting on a motorbike with a parachute on and driving off the goddamn cliff in real life. They did that stunt on the first day of shooting because they needed to know whether or not Tom Cruise was going to survive so that they could go on and shoot the rest. Maybe that's bullshit. Maybe that's just something that someone said during a behind the scenes so that someone like me would repeat it, but I believe it. Jumping off of a cliff with a motorcycle with a parachute strapped to your back is fucking dangerous. And I don't think that anyone puts as much on the line when it comes to stunt performances than Tom Cruise and then the stunt team with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Then you just get like all the other stuff. Like the car chase sequence in Dead Reckoning is better than every single car chase sequence in John Wick, like easily. So I feel totally fine with that pick. Come at me, John Wick lovers. I'm sad that The Teacher's Lounge didn't end up here for Best Non-English Language Film. I love the way the film escalates. Oh, I know. Teacher's Lounge is so good. If I could just pick a film from this last year to get people to watch that I think people would enjoy for the most part, it would be Teacher's Lounge. Like, don't expect too much from The End of the World, Monster, Perfect Days, great non-English language films. But I think that The Teacher's Lounge is one that is both like very good and can be enjoyed by a fairly wide audience. So yeah, I do wish it had gotten a bit better, a bit more recognition here. You need to see Society of the Snow. I know. I need to see all the movies. Best Supporting Performance. We're almost at the end, everybody. 4 more to go. So, Best Supporting Performance. We have Charles Melton for May December, Glenn Howerton for Blackberry, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, and Ryan Gosling for Barbie. And remember, if it's not obvious already, these are not broken up by gender. It's just Best Supporting Performance. And between all 5 of these, it's a pretty easy pick. It's Lily Gladstone. She literally stole every single scene that she was in, and she was acting against Leonardo DiCaprio, against Robert De Niro, and against literally everyone else in that film. This was what, her second or third film? She blows them all away. And I will always say this. Best Supporting Performance for me is essentially a Scene Stealer Award. Who steals scenes? Glenn Howerton and Blackberry? You could make that argument. He is a scene stealer in that film. Charles Melton, not as strong in that. Robert Downey Jr. does okay, but he's never really acting against like titans, you know? Like, he's not stealing scenes because they're all his scenes. Whereas like Lily Gladstone is in scenes with multiple different other people who you would consider to be main characters. And she is able to steal those scenes easily. Robert Downey Jr. is in scenes where he is the focus. And he is just able to be the best person in that scene because those scenes are set up around him. So for that reason, I think Lily Gladstone clears Robert Downey Jr. easily. Ryan Gosling also a scene stealer in Barbie, but in my mind, it's just nothing compared to what Lily Gladstone did in Killers of the Flower Moon. Super impressive. Super, super impressive. Whoa, TJ's hot takes incoming. I mean, I always try to give you at least one. I got to keep you warm somehow. Best Lead Performance. Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, Emma Stone for Poor Things, Leonardo DiCaprio for Killers of the Flower Moon, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, and Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall. And right off the bat, I'm going to throw Leonardo DiCaprio out. I don't know why you guys nominated him. That man is just doing a Saturday Night Live bit the entire time. Get that performance out of my face. Now that we've done that, these 4 remaining performances are really good. I'm still a little bit cold on Anatomy of a Fall, but I will admit that Sandra Huller's performance, being this kind of person who's a little bit confused as to why they're in the situation that they're in, not really understanding what's going on, sometimes because of the language barrier, and the way that she's able to kind of hide from you if she did it or not, the murder I mean, is pretty impressive. Paul Giamatti, no one does a curmudgeonly old man like Paul Giamatti, but also with those undertones of kindness, of wanting to help. And then you have Emma Stone, who starts off the movie acting like a literal baby, because she is one, in the brain, and then progressing throughout, gives a wonderful physical performance as well. And she delivers one of the best lines of the year with "Now I must go punch that baby." So that's going for her as well. And then you've got Cillian Murphy. The destroyer of worlds. And he also does really well. His kind of it's not pragmatism. There's an element of he's naive to a certain way, because one of the things that I found so fascinating about Oppenheimer is how that character continually just kept saying to us, look, all we have to do is build a nuclear bomb and then set off a nuclear bomb, and then no one's ever going to want to build another nuclear bomb ever again. Like, squaring that naive way of looking at the world is with like the actual job of being committed to and being like completely forward thinking about building the most destructive bomb in the world. Like, I don't think that's an easy dance, and he does it quite well. But I'm not voting for Cillian Murphy. I'm voting for Emma Stone. And that largely has to do with the immense physical performance that she puts in, and the full range that she has to go through by essentially playing someone who starts off as a goo goo gaga baby and then ends up as a grown full-ass woman at the end, mentally speaking. That's really tough. And then add in the physical aspects of the early parts of the film, and you've got a really great performance. Maybe an all-time performance. I don't know. You tell me, chat. You tell me. Replace Leo with Lily and then put anyone else in supporting. No, because Lily was not a lead performance. Call that a hot take if you want, but it's true. She was a supporting performance. She was there supporting Leonardo DiCaprio's performance. Although I do think it's kind of weird that we didn't get Divine Joy Randolph in Best Supporting Performance, to be honest. Although I don't know who I would drop in her favor. Probably Charles Melton. But we're beyond that now. Because now we need to talk about Best Direction. Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, or Poor Things. What was the best directed film of the year? And I'll tell you what. These are all good choices. I'm going to throw Killers of the Flower Moon out, though, because I had issues with that movie outside of Lily Gladstone and the score. And a lot of those issues have to do with, like, the last third of the film. Also, how they decided to focus on, like, the white guy when telling the story about how, like, the Osage Nation got fucked over and, like, murdered and stuff. Like, it's a very Martin Scorsese thing to do. And I love that man. But, like, you could have just made a movie about the Osage Nation, right? And not about the white people. They could have always just been, like, a nebulous kind of thread in the background, you know? Probably a better way of doing it. I also think there are ways that he could have done the ending of that film much better, especially the courtroom sequence. But I'm also not going to get into an argument with Martin Scorsese about filmmaking, because that guy just... He has forgotten more about films than I will ever know. So maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But now for Best Direction, with the ones that are left. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Past Things. Past Lives, Poor Things. I have to start thinking about, like, what is direction? What is the one direction? Direction to me is a lot of preparation. It's making sure that your team fully understands what you want to achieve with this film. And then when you start shooting, it's working with the actors. So, first of all, which of these 4 films that are left had the best performances? Barbie, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, or Poor Things? I think it's probably Poor Things. When you think about Emma Stone's performance, and when you think about Mark Ruffalo's performance, pretty much everyone in that film, with the exception of Gerard Carmichael, was phenomenally good. Very, very good performances. With Oppenheimer, Cillian's good. Well, very good. Robert Downey Jr. is pretty good. Everyone else does their job really well. Emily Blunt, especially in that one scene. But I think overall, I would give performances to Poor Things. Past Lives as well, very good performances. Very, very good performances. It lacks the physical quality of Poor Things, but it also has more tenderness to it. And then there's Barbie. From a performance standpoint, I think it comes in 4th when it comes to performances. Margot and America and Ryan all did really well, but between the 4 of them, I think it comes in last. So let's just remove Barbie then from Best Direction. Although I can't really, because then you have to talk about the artistic vision and all of it coming together. So then with Barbie, you have all of those elements coming together. You have Barbie Land, you have the costumes, the set design, production design. You have a lot of the references that are being made to other films and how those must be built properly. You have that car commercial that they put in the middle of it. There's a lot of work that Greta Gerwig put in here. And I think there's a lot of work that Christopher Nolan put into Oppenheimer, and there's a lot of work that Yorgos Lanthimos put into Poor Things. And I think in terms of degree of difficulty, you can't ignore what Celine Song did with Past Lives, because of course she's working with a much lower budget. So I think honestly, you could kind of pick any one of these 4. And so then I guess maybe it just comes down to, after all of that, which of these films was I most impressed by? And it's probably Oppenheimer. I was probably impressed with Oppenheimer the most. So I'm going to select it, but I'm going to reserve the right to maybe come back and change my mind. And then we have Best Film of the Year. And remember, we have 12 to choose from, because we had, once again, a 3-way tie for 10th place. Our nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Asteroid City, Barbie, Godzilla -1, John Wick Chapter 4, Killers of the Flower Moon, May December, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, Across the Spider-Verse, and Holdovers. And for those of you who've seen my list of best films of the year, you know that I have Barbie and Oppenheimer as number 2 and 3. And I think between those two, I would give it to Oppenheimer. But is there any other film here that I think is more deserving? Honestly, no. Once again, I think I probably would go back and watch Godzilla -1 before Oppenheimer again, but I don't even know if that's true, because I find Oppenheimer to be very watchable. And I have already seen it twice. So I think it's gonna be Oppenheimer for me. I'm a film bro now. I am a film bro now. Such a film bro. But I'm not going to submit this yet, because I'm reserving my right to change some of this next week. On the final last day of voting, mind you. So keep an eye out for that when I go live next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be on time this time. Not to get political, but I think having 6 nominees could fix a lot of issues with diversity. What issues with diversity? Like, are we talking about like these two and how it's mostly white people? With the exception of Charles Melton and Lily Gladstone. Is that what you mean? Because, like, I can show you who the number 6 in all of these categories would have been. And I don't know if you're going to find the answer that you are looking for in that way. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. And also, I'll just say that, like, one of the reasons why we have 5 nominees instead of 6 is just, like, from a work standpoint, from my perspective, the more films you add to this, the more the preparations for the actual awards, the more time that just takes. And once again, now that I'm treating Cinemateq more as a hobby than anything else, I am going to try to find ways to keep the work-life balance in check, considering I have a full-time job also. But let's just go to the Google Drive. Gonna hit up that Google Drive. Gonna switch my account. Gonna go to the nomination ballot responses. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if I found out that I actually like did this wrong? So yeah. Ooh, wait, do I want to show you guys this? Because I also have like the totals. And I don't want to show the totals for each film until after voting is completed. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Sorry, I know I just said that I was going to, but I don't want to show you how much each film got because I think it may influence voting. So, never mind. We'll do that after. We'll do that after. Maybe the live stream after the Cinemateq Film Awards. Because, you know, with the Cinemateq Film Awards and then the Oscars going the next day, I'm going to be a little bit I need to conserve my energy, you know? I need to conserve my energy. So, yeah, I will show you guys that, but just not tonight. And I should close this so I don't accidentally show it to you. But yeah, just to like kind of answer your question more, even if I were to go with 6 nominees, those like quote unquote diversity issues, and I don't know if you're talking about like gender or race or that kind of stuff, or if just it would lead to a larger variety of films overall getting nominated. I don't think it's true in either of those cases. I can't quite remember though, even though I was just looking at it. I guess I could have just told you guys what the number 6 thing was without showing you the actual sheet. Shit. I could have done that very easily. Well, I'm a dummy. I'm trying to get over the fact that I just came out as a film bro. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry to the people who knew in their heart of hearts that I always was a film bro and I wasn't able to admit it. It took me a while to get to this point, to feel comfortable. And now I have no problem telling you that I am in fact a film bro. Interstellar is the best film ever made. It's way better than 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is boring. And Christopher Nolan's the greatest director of all time. Number 2 is Quentin Tarantino. That's just me, typical film bro, telling you these things that are true. They are 100%, absolutely 100% true. And I'm not going to apologize for that because I am a film bro and I am correct. We'll make that a quote. We'll put that on a t-shirt. We can have a best comedy category instead of best comic book category. Best comedy would be interesting. Do they make comedies anymore though? What were the big comedies this year? What were the films that came out that were supposed to make us laugh? There was that Jennifer Lawrence one. Blackberry was a comedy. What else? Bottoms. Yeah, I guess you could say The Bottoms is a comedy. Yeah. Bottoms is a comedy. I accept that. Any others? Theater Camp. Also a comedy. Yeah. I laughed during that one. Okay, we're already at 4. Quiz Lady. See, now you're talking about stuff that like maybe not a lot of people have seen. Although, didn't it get released on Netflix? I can't remember now. Okay, but I guess that also could be a comedy. You know, let's consult Letterboxd with this. And I know they're going to give me like mixed results because it's Letterboxd and they do that sometimes. Let's consult the archives. Films. Year. 2023. Genre. Comedy. Barbie, I guess, is a comedy. Poor Things. Oh, I don't know about that. Saltburn. Saltburn is a comedy. Bottoms. There you go. Super Mario Bros. I guess. I don't remember laughing. Asteroid City's got some funny parts. Scream 6 is not a horror comedy. Let's be real. The Blackening, I understand. Scream 6 is not a horror comedy. It's campy. That doesn't make it a comedy. Holdovers. I don't. That's not really a laugh out loud comedy. Like No Hard Feelings is kind of like what I was thinking about. Why the fuck is May December here? Anyone But You is a romantic comedy, so that makes sense. Cocaine Bear? No. No. Dream Scenario is kind of funny. I could see that being in there. Renfield? I wouldn't want that to get nominated. Fallen Leaves made me laugh, though. Totally Killer? I think that's meant to be like a kind of a satire-ish kind of film. Okay, I could see that. Joyride? I guess that is one as well, but also I don't think it's that good of a movie. Murder Mystery 2. Sure, you guys want to have a category where Adam Sandler gets nominated? All right. If that's what you want. Like, just looking at this, though, like, these are based on film popularity. Maybe we should sort it by average rating, highest first. Oh, wait. I don't know what any of these are all of a sudden. These are mostly TV shows. Adventure Time, Fiona, and Cake? What? Okay. This is what? Rick and Morty or something? The Owl House? What is the Owl House? Oh, it's another cartoon. Beef, Holdovers, The Curse. Yeah, these are all TV shows, man. Well, not Holdovers. Scott Pilgrim TV show. All right, so this wasn't a great way of going about this. I realize now that I am fucking up. High TV shows. Yeah, you dummy. All right, this is a bit better. What is this? There's Still Tomorrow. It's a French movie? It doesn't look very funny. Oh, it's Italian. It's a comedy drama. Ah, yes, those good old comedy dramas. Delilah is a typical housewife in post-war Italy whose family is in turmoil over the impending engagement of beloved firstborn Marcella. The arrival of a mysterious letter, however, will ignite Della's courage to face her abusive husband and imagine a better future. Abusive husband. Words that I always love seeing in a comedy film. Yeah, I don't know about that one, everybody. Also got suggestions here for Megan. So once again, that's more campy than it is comedic. Blackening is actually like a horror comedy, so sure. Strays is bad, but it is a comedy. And yeah, Barbie, I could see that. It is funny. It does have funny moments in it. So maybe we can have that for next year. Maybe I'll try to figure out a way of like making that a fan vote as well, like a community vote. What new categories we want to add, and do we want best comic book film to stay? Although I'm hesitant to add categories without taking away categories. So there's that too. So yes, y'all. That was pretty much everything I had planned. I don't know if we're gonna do trailers tonight. Let's check out what we got going on, because it's already a bit late to be starting trailers. Best talking animal movie? No. Have a good night, Tyrannicide. Hopefully you don't kill any more Tyrannosaurus Rexes. They are an endangered species. Box office Mojo. While I'm looking this up, though, I will ask everyone here, since the big movie this week is Dune. Oh wait, yeah, I think there's nothing else coming out except Dune this weekend. How are you guys seeing Dune, and in what format are you going to see it? I'm seeing it in 70 millimeter, not IMAX, just 70 millimeter, because all of the proper IMAX screenings sold out like immediately, and I didn't get tickets. So then instead I found the next best thing, which was a 70 millimeter presentation. I'm a little worried because I did see Babylon in 70 millimeter at this same theater, and they overexposed the image a little bit. And I think if you overexpose the images in Dune, you're just going to blind people. So I really hope they have that dialed in. Did you see the two-part Kevin Costner Western coming out in theaters this summer? I saw it mentioned. In the Cinemateq Discord, which you can join. Link in the description down below. But I haven't watched that trailer yet. So yeah, this weekend we only have 3 films. About Dry Grasses, which I think we watched the trailer for last week. Baltimore, which is a Imogen Poots thriller. And Dune Part 2. So, yeah. It's really just this. Good old Dune Part 2. How many times am I going to see that movie in theaters? I am going to see it in proper IMAX. I will do that. I'm just not doing it this weekend. Sadly. Although, could I do it on the Sunday? Wait, when is Liverpool playing this weekend? Are they playing on Saturday? No, because they're playing tomorrow. They could be playing on Saturday. Oh, shit. Please tell me they're not playing. Please tell me they're not. Why didn't I look this up? Saturday, March 2nd at 10. Yes! Oh my God. Liverpool, then the movie, baby. Yes! I'm going to have a great goddamn day on Saturday. God, I hope we beat Forest. I don't know why. I don't know why I just thought of that. But yeah, I'm seeing an afternoon screening of Dune, early afternoon. So this is going to work out well. I don't know if it's going to work out well in the way where I can go watch the Liverpool game at the bar and then go. Yes, there are bars in Toronto that open up early for Liverpool games. I don't know if I could do that, but I might. But what about the thing that I was thinking about checking out? Could I potentially go to an early Sunday screening of Dune Part 2 in IMAX, like an 11 a.m. screening, a stupidly early film screening. IMAX, this is at, no, I'm not doing YDS for this. We're doing this IMAX, baby. Preview seats for Sunday. Am I on Sunday? This is Sunday. Jesus. This is good to see though. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to a movie theater recently, but like I went to go see Stop Motion on Friday, this past Friday. The theater was so goddamn empty. I'm talking about the whole building. I went in and I saw that movie at like 7. It was a 7 p.m. screening. It was a goddamn ghost town in there. Like, Fridays at movie theaters cannot be that slow. And I mentioned this when I was talking to Tracy. As much as I do not like comic book movies, right now we need them to be good and we need them to make money because there is not a clear successor to them. I think that they are creatively bankrupt, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to come back from being creatively bankrupt. And I think that mostly people have decided that they're not good and that they don't want to go see them anymore. But if that happens, what takes the mantle as like the obvious blockbuster choice? We don't have that anymore. There isn't a good second option for yearly blockbusters. There are other franchises, sure, but are we really expecting the new Planet of the Apes film to make $1 billion? No. We're probably not going to see Dune Part 2 get that, and it's one of the most anticipated films of the whole year. Deadpool and Wolverine, that's going to be the real litmus test. If that film doesn't at least do better or as good as the first 2 films, if it underperforms the first 2 Deadpool films, no matter what that number is, because I know those 2 films did well, whatever that number is, if it underperforms both of them, that to me is a nail in the coffin. Maybe not the last one, but it definitely is one. Because you know that Disney is looking at Deadpool and Wolverine, and they're doing one of these. They're doing their crosses. They're saying their Hail Marys. They're converting to Jedi if they think that'll help. If they think that the Force will help them get people into theaters for that movie. And it kind of sucks that the future of the theater industry, at least at the high end, is under threat in the way that it is right now. So, yeah. A sobering thought to perhaps leave you with. It would be nice to see a more diverse amount of films make money rather than having 2 or 3 films make all the money. Not sure if this will happen. It won't. It definitely won't. Like, look at let's take a look at this last weekend's box office. So like you could say that like a diverse amount of films were in the box office this past weekend because there were not any big blockbusters. And what are we getting? Right? What are we getting? Let's look at this one. So this is So we have Bob Marley One Love, which is certainly overperforming what everyone thought it was going to do. In fact, wait, these are not. That's not up to date. These are not accurate. What is this? 22nd. Yes, the 27th. I guess I want weekend. This one, I guess, will be more up to date. Yeah. So you got Bob Marley One Love getting 71 million, but it only made 13 million. You got 11 million here, 6 million here for Ordinary Angels. Madam Web has an incredible drop off. Wow, 6 million. Not even the memes got people to go in to see that. So yeah, between this you got 24 million, 30 million, 36 million, 40 million. Argyle. Argyle is your number 6 film. Wonka's still hanging around with 2 million. Like, these right here, your top 10, that's like what, 50 to 55 million dollars for 10 films. When you spread it out over 10 films, you're not making that money. Because we all know that like Dune on its own is probably going to make somewhere between like 60 and 80 million in its opening weekend. Dune on its own eclipses these 10 movies. 3 of which were debuts. So, blockbuster tentpole films, still from a financial perspective, are going to be the thing that drive people to go to the theaters and they keep theaters open. But they need to be better. And I do hope that with Barbie and with Oppenheimer and hopefully with Dune Part 2 doing really well, I hope the lesson is learned. Because, you know, I was talking to Tracy about this. It came up at least that like Hollywood executives seem to never learn their lessons, right? But I think when you look at where they learn their lessons from, they always do. And that is the thing that makes money is going to be the thing that we do again. You have to remember that. So if Barbie and Oppenheimer and Dune Part 2 as quality films that get nominated for Oscars do better at the box office than comic book movies, then you may start to see a switch in Hollywood to that style of film, to those films, giving those films a chance. But who knows if that's actually going to end up being the thing. I tend to go to the movie theater during the week, but I'll probably watch Dune 2 till next week because I want to watch or catch up with the Oscar nominees. Fair enough. There are quite a few. Stuff from December is still in the top 10. It's pretty dour. Yeah, it's not great. Deadpool and Wolverine will do well because it's really the only superhero movie coming out this year. I have no doubt that it's going to do well. But when we compare it back to like Deadpool, that made 363 million. 363 million, almost 800 million worldwide. Deadpool 2 did basically the same, but underperformed it a little bit. If Deadpool and Wolverine pulls in less than these numbers, it's over. It'll still be an okay like first couple of weekends, but if it tails and it crashes, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, sorry, I don't know, maybe horror movies. Some horror movies certainly can. They can help carry the load, and they can certainly be produced at a large enough rate that they could get into theaters and they could take up a lot of different screens. But horror movies are not always going to hit big at the box office. Like Smile did really well, Last Voyage of the Demeter didn't. And that may just be down to marketing. Maybe there are still some lessons to be learned about which horror movies work best in a theater environment, right? Like stop motion, it didn't get much of a release from what I can tell, but it certainly didn't crack the top 10 last week in a very uncompetitive marketplace. So you could probably make the argument that horror movies could help, but with the failure of the new Exorcist movie, with the last Voyage of the Demeter not doing well, even the Pope's Exorcist, which was kind of a fun movie, that didn't do super great. You know, we're really just back to talking about franchises. The Conjuring franchise, an example. That franchise prints money, but not every franchise is the Conjuring. And do we need to start having horror franchises now? Do we need to start having horror cinematic universes like we have with the Conjuring universe? Is that the next step in all of this? It'd be interesting. It would really be interesting if that's what we pivoted to, but I don't know. Also, January and February aren't movie months. That's true. What about Once Upon a Deadpool? I don't know. I didn't see it. That barely even registered. It made the most in China because that's the only version of Deadpool 2 that released there. Oh, that recut version of Deadpool 2. I forgot about that. I think some directors and studios are becoming brands like Christopher Nolan and A24. Yeah, but the issue with Christopher Nolan is that the way he makes films, he's going to come out with a new film like once every 3 to 4 years. I think we should count ourselves as lucky that we got Dune Part 1 and 2 within 2 years of one another, or at least we were supposed to. In the year 2002, or wait, Dune Part 1 came out in 2021, right? Yes? Yes. So we were supposed to get those two films within 2 years of each other. That is lucky. I don't know if Denis Villeneuve has another film until like 2 to 3 years from now. I just don't know. Quentin Tarantino is a brand, but he's only got one film left. Steven Spielberg is a brand, but who knows what his next film is going to be and when that's coming out. Martin Scorsese is a brand, but he seems to be more interested in working with streamers that give him a bunch of money, and then those don't really perform that well in theaters. Killers of the Flower Moon didn't do that well. It wasn't supposed to. It's essentially a marketing vehicle for Apple. But the kind of directors that we have nowadays that are brands, it's basically Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve and Greta Gerwig? Maybe? I don't even know if she counts in that way. So yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what brings people out to theaters if comic book films die. But also, I think comic book films should die. So yeah, I feel very conflicted about all of this. Spielberg is no longer reliable as a brand either. His last few films bombed. They were artistically good though, like the musical one. What was the musical one? West Side Story. Really good movie. Fabelmans. Really good movie. It is true that they bombed, though. It is true that they bombed. And maybe the lesson for Spielberg there is that he needs to be directing June movies and not December movies if he wants to have reliable box office returns. Maybe that's the lesson for Steven Spielberg. I think Jordan Peele is becoming a brand. Yeah, I think that's pretty true. I think that's pretty accurate. Really hope his next film just blows the doors off, you know? Let film number 4 be the best one. Let it be the one that's better than Get Out. I don't know how, but let that be the one. All right, everyone. I think that's going to be it from me. It was a bit of a shorter stream tonight, but you have to remember I was streaming before this for over an hour. And I'm tired. I'm really tired. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you coming out. Please don't forget to vote in the Cinemateq Film Awards. And if you didn't, go check out the live stream that I did with Tracy at Nerdy Film Girl on YouTube. It was a good conversation. It was a fun conversation. Love chatting with Tracy. And aside from that, I'm going to be back in 7 days to do another one of these live streams. We're going to end the Cinemateq Film Award voting that day, and then we are only going to be a very short time away from the Cinemateq Film Awards. And you know what? I might talk about Dune Part 2 on the next live stream, so you might as well come back and check that out. Until then, cinephiles, I hope you all have a great week. I hope you enjoy going to Arrakis, as I'm sure we are all going to try to do this weekend. And I will see you in exactly 7 days. Thank you again. Ciao. Have a great week.